I have an actual problem with buying books. So I'm not sure where to start. These are all the books that I have bought this autumn, so since September when I did my last haul. I'm looking around, it's a problem, but yeah. Right, I'm going to start randomly with House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. So this is a pretty well-known book. I'm actually part of a read-along for this on Voxer, which is hosted by Beating Around the Books. I will link her channel below, but there's a lovely group of people involved, and we are going to be starting this on the 1st of December, so there is still time if you want to join in. So I literally know nothing about this. I think it's roughly a sort of weird house, fantastical, I don't know. It's quite an experimental book, so if you can see, the writing sort of goes around in weird squares, and there are some pages with not much writing on, and yeah, so I'm not too sure what to expect from it, but yeah, I'm excited to give it a go, and certainly to have so many people to talk to about it, because I am concerned that I'm just not clever enough for this book. But I will let you know in January, because this is a December and January read along. It's quite a chunky boy. It's like, nearly 700 pages, 650 pages. So yeah, I will be reading this one soon and letting you know what I think. I'm going to move on to hardbacks now. Yeah, I have no real organisation. It's just hardbacks and paperbacks. But yeah, I'm going to start with this one, which I picked up today in Tesco's, because I wanted to treat myself. It was payday. I wanted a book. And this is called Earthshot, How to Save Our Planet, by Colin, Butfield and Johnny Hughes. And it has an introduction by Prince William. And on the back it says it's got contributions from David Attenborough, Christiana Figueres, Hindu, Omaru, Ibrahim, Shakira Mebarak, and Naoko Yamazaki. Apologies for probably pronouncing all of those wrong. But this is just about what's going on in the world now, why it's a problem, and what we can do to help. So many of you are probably aware there has just been the cult meeting. I think it was up in Edinburgh recently, where climate change was discussed. I'll be honest, I don't follow the news all that closely because I find it depressing. But this is an area of science that I really would like to know more about, and obviously how we can protect our planet for our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren in the future. So I thought this sounded quite interesting, and also it comes with some beautiful photography in there, so I mean, sucker for a good photograph. But yeah, so I picked this one up. Let's be honest, I'm not going to get to this year, but I am hoping to pick it up quite early doors next year. Next one that I have mentioned a few times on my channel, so I won't go into huge amounts of detail, but that is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This has had a lot of buzz on BookTube, and just to show you, look, oh, how pretty. I haven't got the sprayed edges version because I'm a cheapskate, but yeah, looking forward to some chunky vampire fantasy. Again, unlikely to get to it this year. I'm not going to say that for every book here, because that is the reality. We are at the end of November. Yeah. But looking forward to it when I get to it at some point in 2022. Next, okay, so this is probably the only one I am hoping to get to this year, and that is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I read The House on the Cerulean Sea by this author earlier this year, and I loved it along with pretty much everybody else who's read it. I actually lent that book to my real life friend Tammy, who is currently reading it and loving it. She got about halfway through, if that, and ordered this one straight off the bat. So we're going to buddy read this together when she finishes Under the Cerulean Sea. So I will be getting to this one before the end of the year, and I'm really excited because, I mean, TJ Klune, he's the kind of author that just gives you a hug with his books. Next is a completely random pick. I literally one day thought, I'm just going to order some random books that I've never heard anyone talk about, but look pretty and sound interesting. As you do. And that is Wilbur Smith's The New Kingdom, with Mark Chadbourne. So this is an ancient Egyptian novel, sort of, I think it's historical fiction. It might have some fantasy elements in it. But this is the sort of son of the emperor trying to ascend to the throne, but evil stepmother and brother and sorcery and things. I think, roughly. Sounds really interesting. Been meaning to read some Wilbur Smith for a long time. I'm not going to lie. I do have 2 of his books on my bookshelf that I still haven't picked up. And yet I bought this. But I've really wanted to get some ancient Egyptian books sort of set around those sorts of eras. This flashed up in an email from Waterstones, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy that. And I did. In that very same Waterstones order, I also bought Orphans of the Storm by Celia Imrie. This I haven't heard anyone talk about. I haven't heard anything about it. So it might be utter garbage, but I'm hoping that it will be a hidden gem. So this is to do with some orphans who end up on the Titanic. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. I have never read any Titanic based fiction before. Obviously I saw the film when I was a kid with Leo and Kate. It goes to show how old I am. I literally saw it at the pictures because I was that age when it was released. But yeah, looking forward to it. I think it would be a nice addition to my historical fiction repertoire. Okay, in that same Waterstones order, I also ordered The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. So I think I have seen this one about, but basically I was just looking for a standalone fantasy, something that I could pick up when I had a fantasy urge that wasn't going to be like a 50 million book series. And this is the one, though I have a really bad feeling they have now brought out a sequel to it. So that's just my luck. But again, not too sure what this is about. It's about Mayer, the youngest half-goblin son of the Emperor. And he has lived his entire life in exile, distant from the imperial court. So, a half-goblin prince is what this is about. Who doesn't love a goblin? If you don't love a goblin, you're missing out. So, yeah, really keen to give that one a go. And it's not too long either. It's, oh, actually, she says that's nearly 500 pages. It just looks really small. And actually, the typeface is like really small too. So it's probably chunkier than it looks. It's a deceptive chunk. Yeah. Where to go next? Where to go next? Okay. Next, I'm going to talk about the books that I have received from the Shelterbox Book Club. For those that don't know, the Shelterbox Book Club is certainly run in the UK. I don't know if it's run elsewhere. And you have a monthly, I think it's actually every 6 weeks, you get a new book. You get to vote from a choice of 3. And the money that you pay towards the book club, that obviously doesn't go on the actual books, is donated to charities, particularly charities relevant to the authors that they are choosing for the book club, which is such a brilliant idea. Love that. And so yeah, so I have a couple to talk to you about here. The first one is The Dancing Face by Mike Phillips. And I think this is a sort of heisty type, a sort of heisty, thefty type book where someone tries to steal the mask, the dancing face mask. So maybe like Ocean's 11 vibes. I don't know. I am literally making that up. But this is part of the Black Britain Writing Back collection. I think this was put together, the collection was put together by Bernardine Evaristo, I believe, where she's trying to highlight some black authors that may be less known in general. So for those that don't know, Bernardine Evaristo won the Booker Prize with Girl, Woman, Other last year, maybe the year before. Before that she was relatively unknown, and then when she won that prize she became a much more well-known author, and so she is trying to promote other black authors through this collection. So yeah, I was really pleased that this one was chosen by the book club, and I hope to get to it soon. And then the book for this month is The Space Between Us by Thrity Umrigar, and this is set in India, and loosely, again, all of my synopses are loose at this stage. This is about sort of a higher class woman and a lower class woman. The lower class woman is the maid, and it's about their relationship together, how their different positions in society can come together and are also opposed. And I think something happens that drives a wedge between the relationship that they've been culminating, and it's about how strong that relationship can be coming from different ends of the social spectrum, I believe. So yeah, sounds really interesting. Again, I haven't read a huge amount of Indian fiction, so keen to give that one a go. And then we have a bit of an odd book for you, and that is Tamesis Street. And this is a collaborative work with how many different authors? A lot of different authors. 30 authors who have written one story about climate change. So from my understanding and a little nosy nose in the start, as you can see, so it starts with Monique Roffey writes the first page, and then the story is continued by Michael Doncourt on this page. And so it's a bit like, I don't know if you ever did this as a kid, where you like sat around in a circle and told a story and everybody had to say like the next bit of the story. It sounds a bit like that. So yeah, keen to have a go at that. Lots of well-known authors on here. There's Kit Duvall, Joanne Harris, Monique Roffey, Sarah Waters, Samira Ahmed. So yeah, interesting premise. We'll see if it works. Next up, I bought The Flames of Albion by Jean Z. Menzies. So for those that don't know, Jean is a fellow booktuber, obviously a much better booktuber than me, over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts, and this is her first novel. She did also write this collection of Greek myths, which is a children's book. I'm not going to get it out, but it's got beautiful illustrations, and it just sort of has one-page explanations of all the different myths. It's a beautiful book, but this is her first adult novel, and it's about dragons, and I think there's sapphic romance, and it's supposed to be quite a positive fantasy rather than death, destruction and corruption. So yeah, I'm going to save this from when I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with all the depressing reading that I do. Next, I picked up The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. This is an author that I've been wanting to get to for a while. And look how stunning that cover is. I mean, hell yes. And this is about an Indian immigrant in America who has a name, Gogol. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But he finds that that's quite awkward in an American community, and he wants to shrug off his name and the values associated with it. It says that on the back. I didn't just come up with that of my own accord. And yeah, I am really keen to get to this, and I think this is probably Lahiri's most popular works. So yeah, really keen to give that one a go. Next, I picked up another of these little Penguin English Library classic jobbies, and this is Daisy Miller and the Turn of the Screw by Henry James. So I don't know what Daisy Miller is about, but the Turn of the Screw is about a governess who's sent to look after 2 children, and spooky stuff happens. It is it has been used for several adaptations. So Ruth Ware's The Turn of the Screw. No, that's what this one's called. The Turn of the Key. And there was a Netflix adaptation as well, which I can't remember the name of. So it's sort of like a precursor to a lot of thriller / horror stuff. Wow, articulate Gemma. But yeah, keen to give that a go. And it's a little, a wee snip of a book. Oh God, don't do accents. So yeah, I will probably save this for some sort of read along. I did actually buy it because I intended to read it in October as a spooky read, and yep, we're nearly in December. Have I read it? No! Next up, we have Patsy by Nicole Dennis-Benn. So I saw this reviewed by Emma over at Drinking by Your Shelf last month, and I instantly bought it. It just sounded so good. It's about a mother and her daughter who live in the Caribbean. I can't remember exactly where, Jamaica. And the mother goes off to America to try and find this new life and leaves her daughter behind. And I think we get both perspectives. So we get the perspective of the mother who's gone to America and I assume sees that things aren't as she would like them to be, and she's not achieving what she wants to achieve. And then the daughter who feels abandoned by her mother back in Jamaica. And it just sounded so good. And Emma absolutely raved about it that I just went out and bought it straight away. So yeah, Patsy. The next one I picked up was Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. I picked this up for Indigathon, which is this month, and spoiler alert, highly doubt I'm going to get to this month, but I am so keen to pick it up. I've heard lots of good things. This is a fantasy, but I think it's based in South America. Rebecca Rowanhorse is a South American Indigenous author, and yeah, I think I did do a slightly better summary of what this book is about in my Indigathon TBR, but that was like 3 weeks ago, so it's been removed from the grey matter. Okay, we're getting there, guys, we're getting there. 3 more to go. And these are all books that I picked up in a charity shop last week. When I go to the office, because I work from home, so when I have to go into the office and I stay at the hotel near there is literally a secondhand bookshop right next door to the hotel. So on my way out, it would be rude not to have a little gander. And that's exactly what I did. So the first book I picked up was Zorro by Isabel Allende. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I've been meaning to pick up some Isabel Allende for a while. I do actually have another of her books on my shelf, which, funnily enough, I picked up from the same charity shop. So this one is literally, I believe, the story of Zorro. Most people will be aware of it, you know, the guy with the black mask and the big sword that he carves like Zeds out. Yeah, that's all I know. But keen to try more of her work. I did also just haul another one of her books on Kindle like a couple of weeks ago. So I really should try her books, because I now have 3 of them and I haven't read any of them. And if I don't get on with her writing style, it could be a disaster. Disaster, darling. Okay, so the next one I picked up was The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. This is a pretty well-known fantasy author. He's probably most well-known for his series, the Blade Itself series. But this is a standalone. I did check that much. So I thought it might be a good place to start with Joe Abercrombie to see if I like his writing style. I have no idea what it's about. I'm guessing it's about some heroes. Oh, it's called the First Law Trilogy, that other one that I just mentioned. What does it say? They say Black Dowls killed more men than Winter and clawed his way to the throne of the North up a hill of skulls. Dun, dun, dun! Sounds good to me. And last but not least, I picked up The Leopard Unleashed by Elizabeth Chadwick. I have been meaning to read some Elizabeth Chadwick. God, how many times have I said that? She is quite a famous historical fiction author, and this one is about some guy called Renard who brings an exotic dancing girl home with him when his father falls ill, and it goes from there. So yeah, I don't really know. It's sort of, I'm expecting it to be sort of Tudorish time, maybe a bit before, maybe a bit after, probably before. That sort of like grand courts and politics and yeah, that sort of thing. Oh, it's the 12th century. It says it on the front. So yeah, not Tudor times at all. In the 12th century, to have is not always to hold, apparently. So yeah, keen to give that one a go. And guys, we did it. We've finished. That was a lot of books. I really need to buy less books because I have no space. But yeah, let me know if you've read any of these, any of your thoughts, feelings. If you just want to, you know, give me some moral support for my waning bank balance, that's also appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you soon with another one. Cheers guys, bye.